Let's begin with what you consider to be the biggest challenge, the implementation and enforcement of some of the laws that we have now related to gender-based violence. I asked you earlier what you consider to be the biggest challenge to the enforcement and implementation of the laws we currently have relating to gender-based violence.
Okay, thank you very much. It's, I think the greatest challenge we have to the implementation of the law against gender-based violence is actually the attitude of the people and the willingness of the people to actually report and follow through the process of accountability. That is one. And secondly, we also have this long process of prosecution, investigation, prosecution, and other accountability measures that need to ground conviction and also deter people from actually engaging in these acts. In addition to that, we have a very weak protection system in place. For instance, where you have to respond to victims or survivors of sexual and gender-based violence, you must have at the back of your mind that you first and foremost need to remove the survivor from the violating environment and take him or her to a more protective environment while you take further steps to ensure that whoever committed such crime is actually held accountable. Then we need all of us to work together to ensure that we kick or reduce this menace in our system. The problem of sexual and gender-based violence has actually increased so much in recent times. The reportage that the Commission gets, it's so overwhelming that we begin to wonder whether it is the consciousness of the people to report that has increased or it is actually the actual violation that has increased. Because if we look at the statistics of the complaints relating to sexual and gender-based violence that is coming into the Commission, between 2020 and March 2021, the Commission received almost 140,000 complaints relating to sexual and gender-based violence. We know that this increase in statistics and data can be ascribed to the visibility and accessibility of the Commission across the 36 states of the Federation. But the next thing to do now is how many of these cases are actually being pursued to the level of conviction and sentencing.
Let's talk about conviction and sentencing.
Can actually be held accountable.
The logic has always been that if you report a crime in this regard and someone gets punished, that subsequently it will be an example to others. But has that really been the situation based on what you've observed in recent years? I was asking Mr. Ojukwu if indeed punishing these offenses have been, an example to others. Has it really brought down the figures of these occurrences from what you've experienced in recent years? Mr. Ojukwu, if you can hear me, I was asking you if indeed punishment in this regard has been some sort of reprieve. Has it impacted positively? Has it indeed been an example to others in a bid to reduce such occurrences?
For instance, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act has provisions that should give visibility to the actions that have been taken by accountability agencies, so that people can be aware that accountability is being brought to bear against violators of or the people that actually commit this crime. But the provision that has to do with publishing or the register of violators has not really increased enough for people to know. I know that we now have some level of conviction that is a major improvement from what used to obtain before now. But then if we have to implement the law diligently, I'm sure a lot of people will know that it is no longer business as usual, and they will be able to, refrain from committing this heinous crime.
Absolutely. It's a good place to leave it.